Vice went inside North Korea. They sat across from cannibal warlords in Liberia and even traced smuggler routes used in Syria. They covered bloodshed in Venezuela, drug wars in Mexico, dictatorship, uprising, the kind of chaos most media wouldn't touch. And chances are, if you've ever been on YouTube at 2 a.m., you've seen a Vice episode. They did more than tell stories, they lived them. But living that close to the truth came at a cost. And I mean this literally. Making those videos was not cheap, and all of it was investor money. At its peak, Vice became the cool kid of journalism and everyone wanted in. Legacy media, tech giants, private equity, all lined up, each writing bigger checks than the last. Little by little, Vice raised over $1.3 billion. The valuation soared until it all came crashing down. In 2023, Vice filed for bankruptcy. The billion-dollar digital media was now worth nothing. At the center of it all was one man, Shane Smith, co-founder and former CEO of Vice. Shane pitched the company everywhere, and he was good at it. He convinced some of the world's biggest investors that Vice was the future. But the problem wasn't what he sold, it's what he believed. Welcome to the mind of Shane Smith. It all started with a small magazine called Voice of Montreal. It was everything Vice stood for. It didn't follow the rules, it made fun of them. It was founded by three guys. While they had their differences, they all wanted the same thing, to chase after the truth. So they changed their name to Vice because, well, it was a more fitting name to what they were doing. They covered stories about sex, drugs, rebellion, especially the youth and the unseen subculture no one else dared to cover. The content was not polished and people loved that, but we're not here to talk about the rise. We're here to talk about the fall, and that fall starts with the person that became the face of it. Shane was a great CEO. The cool-looking Canadian guy with a beard and a lot of confidence turned a small magazine in Montreal into the most rebellious media brand in the world. He had vision, salesmanship, and a story that felt too cool to fail. And for a while, it worked. He got young people to care about the news, collaborated with media giants like MTV and HBO, and launched newsrooms in over 35 countries. It even won an Emmy Award in 2016 for covering ISIS. Whatever Shane was doing was working. At least, that's what everyone thought. Because behind the cool CEO image was someone who started believing his own legend. One he helped create. Shane wasn't just telling stories through Vice, he was telling one about himself too. He once claimed he ran away from home at age 13, said his dad built race cars and made himself sound like a tough street kid, clawed his way to the top. In reality, he was a university-educated son of a computer programmer and a paralegal, but the lie worked because it made him feel like part of the chaos he covered. That swagger became part of the Vice pitch, and the pitch delivered. Shane was a master salesman. He knew how to walk into a boardroom and make old money investors feel like they were buying the future. He told them that Vice was doing journalism even better than CNN. He said they made 7,000 videos a day, that young people didn't trust legacy media, but they trusted him. The numbers were big, and his words were even bigger. He raised money from Disney, Fox, and even the Saudi government. Each round was bigger than the last. Over $1.3 billion poured in, and the bigger the checks got, the bigger Shane's claim became. At one point, he even said Vice would be worth $50 billion. But the truth was, there was no clear business model. Still, Shane kept going because the more investors believed him, the more it confirmed what he believed about himself, that he was right. And when the money came in, he spent it like someone who thought the game would never end. There were private jet, parties, luxury retreats, staff flew business class, executives stayed in 5-star hotels. One dinner bill alone was $300,000, and it wasn't a one-time thing. It was a pattern. Every big spend was a way to show the world that Vice was building the future of media, and the more the world believed it, the more he believed it too. Shane stopped seeing himself as just a CEO. He was something bigger now. So when he started saying he wanted to save journalism, it didn't come out of nowhere. In his mind, it made perfect sense. This is where it got dangerous. That belief that you're the chosen one to fix something is known as the savior complex. It makes you think the rules don't apply. Those big losses are just growing pains. Anyone who doubts you is part of the old world and you're building the new one. In Shane's case, it was journalism. And what's crazy is that his actions contradict his words. He called Vice anti-corporate, but structured deals with media giants. He bragged about being punk rock, but operated like a Wall Street exec. He said Vice was about the truth, but lied about his own life. It's like every contradiction made sense in his mind because he believed the end would justify the means. So when the company started struggling, the response wasn't to pause, it was to double down. The problem continued. Vice started expanding too fast. It ballooned into something too big to control. And with every expansion, they drifted further from what made it Vice. They opened new offices, created more channels, and signed bigger deals. Shane saw all of this as progress. He believed in the vision too much, but belief only doesn't really pay the bills, and the bills were stacking up. They were burning through the cash behind the scenes, all in the name of growing. It didn't matter to Shane, of course, because the more the company scaled, the more it felt like validation. Every time a legacy media giant poured money in, it confirmed what he believed all along. And that brings up another dangerous pattern I noticed, something called the hype feedback loop. It works like this. The more attention you get, the more money you raise. The more money you raise, the more you scale. And the more you scale, the more attention you get. The loop only runs as long as the people, in this case the investors, believe the hype. And that belief created a kind of illusion that growth itself was proof of success. In normal cases, this would be okay, but the foundation is shaky. Hype became a fuel that burns fast, and once it runs out, the whole engine grinds to a halt. This didn't matter to Shane because his mind was wired to chase momentum. He didn't care if something made money, he cared if it made noise. That's why Vice made one of the boldest and most confusing decisions of all time. They launched a cable channel called Viceland, just as the world was leaving cable and moving to streaming platforms. People wanted content on demand, not scheduled programming. But instead of following that shift, Vice went backwards. The result was low ratings, weak ad revenue, and a format that bled money fast. You'd think they would pull back after hemorrhaging so much money. No, Vice kept building wider. And every new branch meant more overhead, more pressure, and more confusion. All that was left was the noise Shane was making, and the noise stopped sounding like progress. That's when people started asking questions. The numbers didn't make sense, the spending was out of control. The brand that once stood for truth and rebellion was now tangled in corporate partnerships, bloated divisions, and deals that didn't match the mission. People wanted to know why the company that once thrived on raw authenticity now felt like a hollowed out version of itself. By then, Shane wasn't leading a revolution like he thought he was doing. He was only clinging to a version of Vice that no longer existed. That's the real tragedy. Shane didn't just sell a myth, he believed it blindly. And in the end, that belief became the blind spot that brought everything down. Because when you think you're the only one who could save something, you stop seeing the signs that it's already falling apart.